Okay, jumping into the cockpit, everything looks pretty much the same. I'll just point out some of the differences here. One of the coolest differences is everything is LED lighting on the aircraft. All lights on the aircraft are LED. And they've even gone to all LED backlighting for all the words on all of the switches, all of the controls, and all of the circuit breakers as well. So it's like Tron style, I call it. You look at the switch panel, for example, it has this LED panel, LED backlit panel. So all the words, they light up, they glow and light up. Same for the light switch and ice panel. We've got the circuit breakers for the avionics. We've got the circuit breakers for everything else. And they even have these little hood lights that shine down on top of here. So it's clear underneath here and it shines down on top of the circuit breaker so you can better see what's going on. We still have this underneath map light, also LED. Behind the light switches, the rotating knobs, all LED backlit. All LED backlit for the air and environmental. And all the power levers, all of this is LED backlit as well. All these words glow at night just by turning these up. So that's pretty cool. And also up here, we have one more up here, LED backlit panel up here at the fuel. Notice, oh, look at that, no oxygen, fantastic. There we go. So all LED backlighting. Okay. Up here as well, the standby flaps, also LED backlighting. Okay, so we're going to jump back down to the left and just start working our way across. Anything different here? Anything different here? Yes, the fuel pump. We need to know that when you test a fuel pump, you put it up to norm and you hear the cycling fuel pump. It still cycles, but it cycles on for at least 2 seconds before it cycles back off. So it's on for a couple seconds and off for a couple, on for a couple seconds and off. So it's no longer off on very fast. Okay, so that's normal. They just have a different sensor in there. And you see this is the same as the G1000 Caviar Bravo. Coming up here, we do have the inverter, and this has the, we do have the 115 volt power outlets in some of the new airplanes, and that's going to be a switch right here. So that's going to be an inverter switch right here. You flip that on, and you got power to the 115 volt outlets in the back cabin. There's going to be 4 of those. I'll probably just leave that off most of the time because we don't want to deal with that, and people plugging in their items that might be too much juice, pop our circuit breakers. We don't want that. Okay, again, all of the lights, taxi lights, position lights, landing lights, all these are LED, and we walk around, we'll see those extremely bright. Even the strobe lights are LED, flashing LEDs. The beacon light is so bright they had to black out the front of it because it was reflecting bright red off of the prop and distracting the pilots. So really effective LED lighting in the aircraft. Okay, coming across the top, no differences here on the G1000 and the autopilot system. Okay, no differences around through here. All the vents are in the same place. Standby instruments. This particular model does not have our $5,000 timer known as an ADF. We don't have that. Separators the same. Brakes are the same. One thing about the pilot side brakes here is that they do have a return spring. So not only, it's kind of hard to see here, not only do they have the master cylinder on the right side, but on the left side there's also a return spring. So in case the brakes were to go all the way to the bottom and the loss of brakes, if you let go, it'll spring back to the top so that you can pump the brakes back down without, you know, reaching down, pulling the brake up and then trying to pump it back up again in an event of some kind of a brake failure. Okay. So that's kind of nice. Coming across here on the power quadrant, the EPL is the same, the throttle is the same, the beta is the same, the feathering on the prop is the same. What do we got here? The condition lever and cutoff and low idle, same as far as how the lever works. The flaps, totally different. What do we have? We have up, we have takeoff and approach. It says 150 knots. We are going to use 125 from Ukulele. And then all the way down, which is labeled land, 125 knots. We're going to use 100. Okay, so what do we have? We have 0, 15, and 30. Okay, so again, 175 knots all the way up, of course. It's our normal VMO. Airplane limit 150, we're going to use 125. And then for 30, we're going to use, instead of 125 for the airplane limit, we're actually going to use a company limit of 100. 125, 100 on the flaps. Okay, and we have the same little white indicator tab there that follows. Speaking of flaps, we have standby flaps up here that work exactly the same way, except they do not coast. So that once you select, you open up the lid and you select standby for the flap motors, and then if you run the motors, this still does not have limits, so that you can go past the limits and damage the aircraft. It'll rip the transmission right out of the top of the wing and do a lot of damage, and also to the flaps as well. So you always want to stop prior to hitting all the way up or all the way down, just like we do on the other aircraft. But it does not coast anymore. So before, if you move the switch and the flaps are moving and you let go, it'll actually coast for a little ways, 4 or 5 degrees, and you can damage it that way. But this does not coast; it immediately stops. So when you stop moving the switch, the flaps actually stop where you stop moving. They don't coast any longer like they used to. That's kind of good. It'll prevent some damage for us, I'm sure. Okay, as far as behind us, we have pilot seats, pretty much the same, 5-point harness. Door locks, same, no differences there. Going back into the cabin, some of our aircraft may have the 115 volt outlets, the plug-in outlets. Okay, we also have the LED lit, no smoking signs, backlit LED, no smoking signs, and all the lights above are also LED as well. Okay, we're going to the outside next.